Hi everyone, and welcome to the Aries August 2021 self-connection reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot and meaning-based spiritual coaching services. I am Lauren. Welcome. So this is one of 3 connection readings that I complete each month for each sign. This first one here is a self-connection reading which focuses on bringing awareness to your unique internal authentic self and how well you're connecting with that. We have then a spiritual connection reading which focuses on you connecting your unique internal authentic self with your external environment. And then we have our love connection reading which focuses on how well you are connecting your unique internal authentic self with the unique internal authentic selves of others. We also look at the themes of romantic love and any other type of love and the energy around that. All right, so in addition to that, we are going to utilize the Triad of Engagement, which is a coaching tool I've developed that focuses on showing the importance of working with the 3 principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation. So we're going to jump right into this, Aries. We're going to take a look at an opening kind of point to be curious about. I'm using the Power of Surrender deck here, and I'm going to go ahead and pull a card, and we're going to formulate a question around the themes of this card. Because when you think of curiosity, curiosity generally implies a question. In addition to that, we're going to really tap into the energies of optimism, receptivity, and openness, which is what curiosity fosters in us. So, Aries, for the month of August, we have surrender your belief in scarcity. And it says, the universe is asking you to open to the infinite nature of abundance. In this way, you can remove blocks in your life and succeed beyond your wildest dreams. Beautiful card. So right off the bat, when we're thinking about ourselves and we're bringing curiosity, so normally we focus on curiosity and we direct that outward. But in this reading, we're directing curiosity inward to really start to open up and take a look at our unique internal authentic selves and parts of ourselves that perhaps we have not been working with or need to work with or have some additional part to play. And this is where we get a chance then to really ask ourselves a question, to start highlighting and opening that up so that we can start utilizing and working with that part of ourselves again. So when we think about surrender your belief in scarcity, what I'm feeling right off the bat is when we're thinking about a question for the overarching theme of self-awareness for the month of August, where are you holding yourself back from pursuing something that is going to really kind of light your inner flame because of this belief in scarcity? Now, this can look like holding on to a job that pays well when you know there's something that you're more passionate about. This can look like not wanting to invest in a change of home or location because you're afraid that if you do, you're going to have to put a bunch of money out there and you might lose out on something. But instead, in reality, you're bored with where you live. It doesn't work for you. And the universe now is asking you to be curious. Bring that beautiful light of openness and receptivity and optimism into yourself to kind of shine that light to say, what part of me is clinging to something out of a lack mindset? When we think of scarcity, it's a scarcity mindset. This is where we feel that we start to tell ourselves stories. Now, why I work with curiosity specifically, especially as the first principle, is because curiosity really is the first principle we kind of bastardize as we move from childhood into adulthood. It's the principle where instead of really utilizing it as a tool of continual self-awareness and knowledge and education, we start to use it in the reverse form, and we use it as a way to block ourselves off from integrating our internal authentic self with our external environment out of fear, out of a negative mindset. We stop ourselves from being curious by saying things like, well, the last time I tried this, I lost a bunch of money, so I'm not going to do that again. The last time I tried to bring out this part of myself, it was ridiculed, so I'm not going to share that part of myself again. When I do this, this always happens. Every time I get a new job, it sucks. And this is where we actually start to, at its worst, this is where we start to release ourselves from being self-responsible. This is where we start to block ourselves off from having to be curious about the consequences of our own actions. And we instead just kind of pass on down the road of, well, this is just the way it is. When you start to utilize those type of phrases, that's when you really have lost that connection with the awe and the wonder of life. You are no longer ready to be surprised. And when we're no longer ready to be surprised, we are actually blocking ourselves off from being able to realize opportunities, from being able to see the possibilities, see the positive possibilities of things that are occurring and coming kind of into our path. And one of these areas is when we start to develop a scarcity mindset, where we start to tell ourselves, well, and this can be formulated actually at a very young age based off of even what you experienced from your parents or how you were raised or where you were raised, where you can say, well, most people never make this kind of money. And so why would I, even though I feel like I want to take a risk here and maybe play the stock market or start a business, and and instead of looking at it as when I start my own business, I have the potential to make as much as I want to work towards. Instead, you look at it and go, well, most people who start their own businesses don't make it. And that could be from personal experience. Perhaps your parents owned a business that didn't thrive, or you watched multiple people around you have businesses that closed, or you were told from a young age, most people never make above a certain amount. And this is where curiosity, when we are tapping into it at its best, this is where we get a chance to tap into it in the reverse and say, well, somebody made it, made that much money for themselves, or somebody made a thriving, successful business. And we have to tap into, instead of, well, not everybody can achieve that, instead we need to tap into if they can do it, so can I. Because that's the beauty and the awe and the wonder and magic of life. And that's what keeps us engaged. That's what gives us hope. That's what allows us to be able to stay curious and continue to want to engage with not only ourselves, but engage that self with our external environment. Because we're continually being surprised by what we can do, by what we can manifest, by the service we can be in the world in just being ourselves. So, question for the month of August, when we're looking at self-awareness, self-connection, what part of your experience currently are you holding yourself back from really tapping into? What part of who you are authentically? Now, this could be a need, a dream, a hope, a desire. It could also be an ability. that you're not utilizing or working towards simply because you're afraid that there won't be enough. And I love that it says here, the universe is asking you to open to the infinite nature of abundance. And that really is the awe and wonder of life, the infinite. That if we don't, and this is also the beauty of being a human. Humans are incredibly innovative. And there is this quality and capacity to the human condition that we can adapt. And we also have the ability to create for ourselves almost something from nothing. We have the ability to have ideas that have never existed and bring them into fruition. That's the infinite element, the infinite nature of abundance, is that we can always keep creating. And I love how it says, in this way you can remove blocks in your life and succeed beyond your wildest dreams. So what are your wildest dreams? That's the second part to this question. Is if there is an aspect of yourself that you've been holding yourself back. So what area are you most afraid of loss in? Now this could be in the monetary side of things. This could be in just respect and recognition. Maybe you've worked to a certain place in your professional career and you're afraid now that if you express yourself in this way, you will no longer have that respect and admiration. Or perhaps it's the fear of losing your family or losing stability, losing security. So what is it that in some aspect of yourself that you want to share or tap into that you are afraid of losing? And what if you started to change that mentality of, well, what if I did follow this part of myself and it actually, instead of losing out in this area, it actually gave me more? It's a perspective change. That's how we start to become comfortable with ourselves. And it's also how we start to be able to move into the second principle, which we move away from courage, or from curiosity, we move into courage. And this is where we end up having faith. And we work together with spirit or the universe to be able to take action. And this is where manifestation and realization and us being able to live into life as ourselves. And this is where we get a chance to really realize the impact we have on our own life, the control that we have in creating the life for ourselves that work for us. Okay, so Aries. Now, actually, I wanted to add one other thing. Aries, so each sign in the zodiac has a motto, and your motto, Aries, is "I am," which is interesting. I like it, obviously, because my business is I Am Illuminated, and it's all about helping you answer your own I am question. But there is this element to really tapping into the superpower of being an Aries, that you have to step up into and answer the call to that question of who are you? Right now, when you think of I am, how would you answer that question? How are you currently defined? And in continuing to keep that in mind, Aries, and shining that light within, that's what's going to really help to also guide your action. You are a sign of action. You are a fire sign. You are the cardinal fire sign. So you are all about taking action, living into your passions, and really being able, through your actions, to show others who you are. And so now, as we're stepping into courage, where have you not been utilizing that courage to really step up and take action that shows others who you are? And if you can't answer that question, if you can't answer I am, and I know because I've been there personally myself, where I've asked myself that question and I couldn't answer it. If you're at a place where you're struggling with that, well, then it's simply about looking at where you are most afraid of losing something, whether it's tangible or whether it's intangible. So whether it's something tangible like money or intangible like a sense of security. And use that as your guiding principle as to what is tied to that. So if it's security, let's say, well, what do you tie to security? Is that your home? Is it a steady paycheck? Is it having a specific routine? What is stability and security to you? And then to take a look at where perhaps you're utilizing that as an excuse to not express some aspect of yourself. So let's say security to you is keeping a roof over your head. Now, maybe you want to leave one work environment for another, but that might entail a pay cut to start. And you're worried that that could ultimately affect having a roof over your head and thereby affect your security. And so you're not moving on making this work move. And yet, you know, you are not, if you stay in the other place of work, that you're not answering your own I am question. You don't feel that connection. There is no meaning to be had in the work that you do there, but there is meaning to be found for you in this other place of employment. Or even just the quest of pursuing something new is fulfilling this sense of meaning and purpose. Sometimes it's just in the journey. It's not even us knowing what job we want to move to. Sometimes it's just us realizing, I just don't like what I'm currently doing. It holds nothing for me. It holds no meaning for me. It does not utilize any of my innate abilities, and it's not building towards a dream of mine. But I don't know what I want to do. And this goes hand in hand with not being able to answer the I'm question. So this is where we tap into courage through taking action, to then just say, well, if this is, to admit to yourself, well, if this isn't for me, if this current place of work isn't for me, well, there has to be something else out there. So let me just start to make the move. Let me apply to some places that just seem interesting and take it from there. We don't always have to have a perfect plan. And every step isn't always, okay, I'm going to move from this job to my dream job. It might be a path. And that path of self-realization, self-awareness, and that path towards being able to answer the I'm question starts with you taking action. And starts with you also really admitting to yourself that if you don't feel, this is where we tap into, bring awareness to ourselves and we become aware through our intuition. If we don't feel good about where we are currently working, and we cannot find meaning in it, and we do not feel passion, and we don't feel purpose, well, then this is a cue to face your fear of a lack of a scarcity mindset, a lack of keeping a roof over your head, and thereby really tapping into your fear of facing your scarcity mindset. And if you can courageously do that, if you can courageously face it and overcome it through taking action on your own authentic behalf, which is leaving your current place of work, that's where you're going to step up and realize in facing that challenge, you will start to answer. You are now back on your quest to answer your own I am question. You are now back in working with bringing yourself into alignment with destiny. You're choosing to act from a place of free will instead of being held in place by either your own negative thoughts or in this belief that somehow something external to you is holding you back. And that's where, again, when I was talking about curiosity at its lowest point, can really keep us from holding us back from being self-responsible, from living ourselves into life. That's where we start to, really get to that point of, well, I'll never be able to find another job. I know this is all I'm capable of. I've been told that if I leave, I'd be stupid to walk away because this is an amazing job and I'll probably never get a chance to make as much money as I do here. But you know what? If you're not feeling it, it's for a reason. And again, you're living your life. And only you can live your life and fulfill your destiny. No one else can do that for you. So what one person may see as the most amazing ultimate job, which is what you currently have, it may not feel that way for you. And if it doesn't, that just means that other person is meant for that role and you are meant for other things. Okay. Ooh, finally. Oh. Okay. So we have a card that came out here. We have Bat Spirit. A rebirth is assured. Number 5. And I think when we're thinking of taking action, this is really perfect. There's a quality here of release, of releasing the scarcity mindset, because Aries, I think you are going through this period of change, of internal change. We're not generally asked to face our scarcity mindsets unless we are facing change. So what I think is interesting too is that the number 5 here on this card, the number 5 in numerology, is a number that denotes change. It can denote chaos, but it also denotes that beautiful energy of change for the sake of breaking something down to build something new, or change to be able to kind of shake up something so that you move out of being stuck. The number 5 is a very powerful number. And so for you guys, I really do feel like that's kind of what you're being asked to do right now, is to face a challenge, to face a negative mindset, to be able to step up into this new version of self, but specifically to be able to kind of get past this block. I really feel like you guys, there's this element of either it's a lack of awareness of where something needs to change within yourself to unlock a certain aspect to kind of get you moving again back on your journey towards finding place and purpose, or just feeling place and purpose and finding meaning in that. Or this is really where you're being asked right now that you already feel it. You already know what part of yourself needs to come out. You already know what part of yourself you've been hiding because of this scarcity mindset. And this is something is going to be kind of happening in your life right now. Now, we're all going through a time of change when you think about it. On a global scale, we are all going through the pandemic. We are all going through things right now that are pushing us to face change and challenge in our environment, to face the unknown, so to speak. And so in being faced with that, we are all being asked to step up in some capacity to learn something about ourselves. But on an individual basis, Aries, I think that you guys are facing your own internal shakeup. Whether this is something that's coming out of the blue, it could be your family deciding that they want to move, or being faced with the potential a job loss, or something in your environment that's just forcing this element of change. But what we have to remember is that in our experience of life, matter is not destroyed. It's only reformed. So what may seem like this big change that's going to, require you to have to face some aspect of your life to bring another aspect out, that whatever you feel you might lose in that is only going to be transformed into something else. So you're not actually losing anything. It's just being reformed. And in addition to that, you can build on it. So it's not just about static energy as far as, well, I only have this much and I can only reform it into exactly this much. This is about that beautiful energy of that beautiful knowledge and awareness that not only is energy not destroyed, but we also have this ability to grow it, to build on it. When you think about just tying that back to, let's say, your country's economy or making money, we are not sitting with the same amount of money that perhaps, the country, so I obviously am living in America, we are not sitting on the same little bit of money that we started this country with. In fact, now we are dealing with trillions of dollars, which is almost beyond our ability to comprehend as human beings. That number alone is a very difficult concept to grasp. But yet we have grown the economy from what originally would have been just a few $1,000s to something that is so far beyond our comprehension. And if we would have told somebody, 250 years ago, hey, in 250 years, we're going to be talking about trillions of dollars. Oh, and also let's throw in Bitcoin and some of these other non-existent currencies. They looked at you and been, you're crazy. You're crazy. That kind of money can't even exist. And yet it does today. And that's what you're being asked to tap into, is this energy of rebirth. Taking the energy of change and realizing that no, you're not going to lose something. You're only going to be transferring that energy, and it'll be manifested in another form, and you'll actually have the ability to grow it as well. Okay, now we are going to pull a card for contemplation, which is really an important principle because this is the seat of self-learning. This actually is the seat of tapping back into self-responsibility. This is where we get to connect the dots between where we were curious, where we decided to take action, and then we get a chance to take a look at the consequences of that action. And we get to adjust. We get to continue our awareness of self and practicing bringing out certain aspects of ourself. We get a chance to grow on a spiritual and emotional level. And so we also get a chance to evolve and transcend. All right. Let's see, what does Aries need? What's a message for contemplation for Aries for August? Looks like we have a couple cards that came out here. So we have trust your path. If you knew you'd be supported, what would you do? This can't be more perfect. So as your final point of contemplation, as you start to face that aspect of whatever part of yourself you hold the most scarcity mindset towards, in facing that fear and facing that negative thought towards that aspect of your life of that there's scarcity there, then integrate that with, if you could do anything, what would that be? If you knew you were truly supported. Now, contemplation, so curiosity focuses on opening us up to the awe and wonder of life. Courage focuses on opening us up to having faith that as we take action on our own behalf, we will be supported by the universe. We will be able to meet destiny halfway through us choosing to utilize our free will to take action to interact with it. And then with contemplation, we focus on connection. Connecting the dots between our entire life experience, but also connection to our external environment, connection to others, and connection back to ourselves. Because life is all about connection. And so And it's about specifically connecting with others. We share a human collective experience as much as we live our own unique life experience. And so we're each there to fill some beautiful piece of the puzzle, to elevate and be of service to the greater collective experience, and thereby fulfilling our role, our meaning. And we end up feeling that. That's how we get close to emotional fulfillment. But you have to be able to really trust your path. And you have to be able to trust that what feels right for you is right for you. And that could be facing a challenge. And that challenge could be simply facing a fear of a lack of security, a fear of a lack of financial abundance, a fear that you will lose respect, and maybe even a fear of the loss of time. Maybe you've worked a really long time towards having a specific career path, or building a family, or writing a book, and in having to walk away from that for the time being, or to take action towards something else, there's this fear of, but I've put so much time and energy towards this. And sometimes we have to realize time is relative. You didn't lose anything in spending time towards that. You learned about yourself. You gained some type of knowledge. You maybe created connections that will come up and be opportunities in the future for you. But now you can utilize your time in a new way. And eventually it'll show you how that time spent here is being changed and highlighting and helping and growing the time spent over here. So in addition to that, we have dance with life. Do something to change your energy. And I love this. I mean, between trust your path and dance with life, I mean, this is like the universe giving you a big green light. Like, okay, Aries, it's time to get out there. It's time. It's time to shake things up. I mean, this says do something to change your energy. And that's exactly right. To change the energy around some area that holds a lot of negativity for you. To change your energy to start working with faith in yourself again. And to start just getting yourself back out there to face challenges. This could also look like for you guys, maybe you are in a place of kind of what I call comfortable unawareness, where you're just kind of going through the motions. Everything seems great on paper, and why change something? And maybe now maybe the universe is pushing you, some aspect of yourself to come. Maybe it's just bubbling up inside of you, or maybe it's coming down the pipeline of everything seems great on paper, but now your job might be at risk. Or now a new love enters your life, a new person comes in and changes the dynamic, and suddenly you're being faced with all kinds of new parts to face about yourself. And this is where you're being asked, it's time to face that change. It's time to meet that change head on, whether it's coming from yourself internally or whether it's coming through your external environment, which involves things that are outside of your control. A change in your environment, a change in your situation or circumstance, a change in the people that you interact with. All right, Aries, I hope this has been illuminating. So this is the first reading of the month. I'm kind of changing up how I do my schedule. I am going to be releasing these the first week of the month, the self-connection reading, to kind of get yourself aware of yourself. I will be releasing the spiritual connection readings the second week of the month to kind of see how now, as you're opening up this awareness to that part of yourself, how that's being connected to your external environment and what spirit kind of is, why they're asking you to open up that part of yourself, because what is it going to lead to in your external environment. And then we'll have the love connection reading where we'll get a chance to really see and work with that energy, that give and take of support from those around you and how you give support and support from the universe, and kind of how that's helping round out your full month experience with connection. All right, Aries, if you'd like to book a personal tarot reading or a one-on-one coaching session, the link to my website is in the description box below. And I look forward to reading for your other readings, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day. Bye, Aries.